Time is one of the most valuable gifts given to every human being. Every person on earth receives the same 24 hours each day, yet the results of those hours are very different from one person to another. Some people use their time to build knowledge, create opportunities, and achieve their dreams, while others lose their hours in confusion, distraction, and delay. The difference between success and regret often begins with the way time is used. When a person learns to spend time more effectively, life slowly begins to change. Goals become clearer, work becomes meaningful, and progress becomes visible. Effective use of time does not simply mean working every moment without rest. It means understanding the value of each hour and choosing activities that move life forward. It means giving attention to the things that truly matter, such as learning, growth, health, relationships, and purpose. Many people believe that they do not have enough time to achieve their dreams. Students feel they do not have enough hours to study properly. Workers feel they do not have enough time to improve their skills. Entrepreneurs feel they do not have enough time to grow their businesses. However, the truth is that time is often not the real problem. The real challenge is how time is organized and how attention is directed. Consider the story of a young student who once struggled with his studies. He spent many hours every day, but most of those hours were lost in distractions and lack of planning. He watched videos, talked with friends, and started tasks without clear goals. At the end of each day, he felt tired, but he also felt that he had not truly progressed. One day he decided to change his approach. Instead of randomly spending his hours, he began to organize his day with intention. He created a clear plan for studying, reading, and resting. Slowly his focus improved and his results began to change. Within 1 year, he became one of the most successful students in his class. The hours in his day had not increased, but the quality of those hours had transformed. This example shows a powerful truth. Time itself does not change, but the way we use it can change everything. Every moment holds the potential for learning, growth, creativity, and achievement. When people learn to spend their time wisely, they unlock opportunities that once seemed impossible. Effective use of time also builds confidence. When a person completes important tasks and sees progress toward goals, a deep sense of satisfaction appears. This satisfaction encourages further discipline and motivation. Over time, small improvements in daily habits can create powerful long-term success. Another important idea is that time once lost can never be returned. Money can be earned again, and opportunities can sometimes reappear, but a moment that passes is gone forever. Because of this reality, wise individuals treat time with respect. They choose actions that bring value to their lives and to the lives of others. However, learning to manage time effectively is not always easy. Modern life contains many distractions. Technology, entertainment, and constant information compete for attention every minute. Without awareness, people can easily spend many hours on activities that bring little benefit to their future. Recognizing these distractions is the first step toward building stronger control over time. Throughout this work, the concept of spending time more effectively will be explored through different chapters and real-life examples. Each chapter will highlight practical lessons that show how disciplined planning, focus, and purpose can transform ordinary hours into meaningful progress. The goal is not to create pressure, but to inspire awareness that every person holds the power to shape their day and ultimately shape their life. When people begin to understand the value of their time, they also begin to understand the value of their lives. Each sunrise offers a fresh opportunity to learn, create, improve, and contribute. Each evening becomes a reflection of how those hours were spent. Over weeks, months, and years, these daily choices become the story of a person's life. Therefore, the journey toward spending time more effectively is also a journey toward becoming a stronger, wiser, and more purposeful individual. It is a journey that begins with awareness, grows through discipline, and leads to a life filled with progress, fulfillment, and meaningful achievement. Chapter 1. Understanding the value of time. Time is the most valuable resource in human life. Every person on earth receives the same 24 hours each day. Yet the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people often comes from how those hours are used. Some people waste time without realizing its value, while others treat every moment as an opportunity to grow, learn, and build a better future. A person who understands the value of time begins to see life differently. Instead of waiting for the right moment, they start creating the right moment. Instead of saying someday, they begin saying today. This simple shift in thinking changes the direction of a life. Many young people believe they have unlimited time. They think success can wait. They believe effort can begin later. But the truth is that every day that passes never returns. Time once gone cannot be bought back with money, power, or regret. Because of this, the wise person learns early to respect time and use it carefully. Imagine two students named Ali and Hassan. Both students have the same school, the same teachers, and the same amount of time in a day. Ali spends many hours scrolling on his phone, watching random videos and delaying his homework. Hassan also relaxes, but he plans his day carefully. He studies for a few focused hours, reads useful books, and practices new skills. After several years, the difference becomes clear. Hassan develops knowledge, discipline, and confidence. Ali begins to feel behind and confused. The time they both received equally created completely different results because of how it was used. This example shows a powerful truth. Time itself does not change a life. The use of time changes a life. Another example can be seen in the life of a farmer. A farmer knows that planting seeds must happen during the correct season. If the farmer wastes the planting season, the harvest will never arrive. Later effort cannot replace the lost opportunity. The same principle applies to personal growth. The time we invest today becomes the harvest we experience in the future. People who manage their time effectively do not necessarily work every minute of the day. Instead, they choose their activities wisely. They understand that some actions move life forward, while other actions simply consume hours without creating value. For example, reading a meaningful book, learning a professional skill, exercising the body, planning goals, and building relationships are activities that multiply the value of time. These actions may seem small each day, but over months and years, they transform a person's life. On the other hand, endless distraction, constant delay, and lack of direction slowly steal the potential of time. Many people do not fail because they lack intelligence or opportunity. They fail because they lose control of their hours and days. Understanding time also means understanding priorities. Not everything deserves equal attention. A successful person learns to ask an important question. Is this activity helping my future? Is stealing my future? Consider a young entrepreneur named Sarah. She dreams of starting a business. During the day, she works a normal job, but in the evening, she dedicates 2 focused hours to learning marketing, communication, and product development. Those 2 hours may seem small, but after 1 year, she has invested more than 700 hours in learning and building. Her consistent use of time turns a dream into a real opportunity. Many great leaders, thinkers, and creators share a similar habit. They respect time deeply. They protect their focused hours from unnecessary distraction. They know that concentration creates results. However, effective time use does not mean removing rest or happiness. Human energy requires balance. Rest, reflection, family conversation, and healthy recreation are also meaningful uses of time because they restore energy and emotional strength. The goal is not to eliminate enjoyment, but to avoid mindless waste. A powerful way to understand time is to imagine that each morning a bank gives you 24 golden coins. Each coin represents 1 hour. You must spend all coins before the day ends. You cannot save them for tomorrow. You cannot borrow from the future. The only choice you have is how you spend them. Some people spend many coins on activities that bring no growth, no happiness, and no progress. At the end of the day, they feel empty. Others spend their coins carefully. They invest in learning, work, creativity, relationships, and health. At the end of the day, they feel satisfaction and movement toward their dreams. Life is simply the collection of how we spend these daily coins. Another inspiring example comes from athletes. A professional athlete trains regularly, even when motivation is low. The athlete understands that improvement is the result of consistent daily effort. A single day of practice may not create visible progress, but thousands of hours over time create excellence. Time works like silent power. It rewards patience, discipline, and consistency. Those who respect it slowly build skill, wisdom, and confidence. Those who ignore it often feel regret later. Young people especially hold a great advantage. Their future, for instance, a student who reads just 20 pages each day will read thousands of pages each year. This simple habit can build knowledge that many people never gain because they underestimate the power of small daily effort. Another student may spend the same time complaining about difficulty or waiting for motivation. The difference in mindset produces completely different futures. Understanding time also teaches responsibility. Every individual becomes the author of their daily story. Each decision either writes progress or delay. Each hour becomes a building block of the future. People sometimes search for secret formulas for success, but the foundation is often simple, consistent use of time in meaningful ways. History shows many examples of people who started with limited resources but used their time wisely. They studied when others slept. They practiced when others relaxed. They planned when others wandered without direction. Over time, their disciplined hours built extraordinary achievements. Therefore, the first step in spending time more effectively is awareness. When a person becomes conscious of how their hours are spent, they gain the power to change patterns. Awareness leads to intention, and intention leads to improvement. A useful exercise is to reflect on a normal day. From morning until night, ask yourself how each hour is used. Which hours create value? Which hours disappear without purpose? This reflection alone can reveal opportunities for change. Time does not ask about background, wealth, or talent. It moves forward, yet it quietly rewards those who use it with wisdom. When we begin to respect time, we begin to respect life itself, because life is nothing more than the moments we choose to fill with action, thought, and purpose. The journey toward a meaningful future begins with a simple decision. Today, I will use my time with intention. Chapter 2. The hidden ways people waste time. Every person wishes to achieve success, happiness, and growth. Many people unknowingly lose large portions of their lives in activities that bring no progress. The loss does not happen suddenly. It happens slowly and quietly, day after day. When a person finally realizes how much time has been wasted, the feeling of regret can become very strong. Understanding the hidden ways people waste time is an important step toward living a more effective life. Many distractions appear small and harmless, but when they are repeated daily, they slowly consume hours, weeks, and even years. One common way people waste time is through endless distraction. Many individuals start their day with no clear intention. They wake up and immediately open their phone. They scroll through random information, watch short videos, and move from one piece of entertainment to another without realizing how much time has passed. Imagine a young man named Bilal. He wakes up in the morning with the plan to begin studying after breakfast. While eating, he opens his phone for a few minutes. Soon he begins watching short videos. Then he reads messages. Then he checks social media. When he finally looks at the clock, 2 hours have already disappeared. His study time becomes shorter and his energy becomes weaker. Bilal did not decide to waste 2 hours. The time disappeared slowly through small distractions. This is how time often escapes without being noticed. Another hidden way people waste time is through constant delay. Many people say they will begin tomorrow. They tell themselves they will start working on their goals when they feel ready, when they feel motivated, or when the situation becomes perfect. The truth is that perfect moments rarely appear. Waiting for the perfect moment often becomes a comfortable excuse for avoiding effort. Days become weeks, and weeks become months, while the dream remains only an idea. Consider a young woman named Aisha, who dreams of learning graphic design. She watches inspiring videos about creativity and imagines building a career. Yet every day she tells herself she will start learning next week. She believes she must first find the perfect course, the perfect computer, and the perfect schedule. 1 year passes, and she still has not begun learning. Another student named Sana starts with a simple free tutorial and practices for 1 hour each day. After a year, Sana has built real skills while Aisha still waits for the perfect moment. The difference between them is not intelligence or opportunity. The difference is action. Another hidden waste of time is uncontrolled conversation. Human connection is valuable and meaningful, but long conversations without purpose can slowly consume hours. Some people spend large parts of their day discussing problems, gossiping about others, or repeating the same stories again and again. For example, two co-workers named Hamza and Danish work in the same office. Hamza often spends long periods discussing complaints about work, about management, and about small daily frustrations. Danish listens for a short time, but then returns to his tasks and focuses on completing his responsibilities. At the end of the month, Danish has finished many projects and gained recognition for his effort. Hamza feels that the month passed quickly, but he cannot explain where his time went. The conversations felt enjoyable in the moment, but they produced no progress. Another silent thief of time is lack of planning. When people begin their day without clear direction, they move from task to task randomly. They react to whatever appears in front of them, rather than focusing on what truly matters. Imagine a student named Imran who begins studying without a plan. He opens one subject for a short time, then switches to another subject, then stops to check. His phone then returns to his books again. His mind becomes scattered, and his learning becomes weak. Another student named Farhan spends 10 minutes planning his study session. He decides which chapters he will read, which problems he will practice, and how long he will focus on each task. Because of this simple planning, Farhan completes his work faster and understands the material more deeply. Planning saves time because it reduces confusion. Another hidden waste of time is fear of difficulty. Some people avoid important tasks because those tasks feel challenging. Instead, they choose easy activities that provide temporary comfort. For instance, a young entrepreneur named Nadia wants to build an online business. The most important step for her success is contacting potential clients. Yet she feels nervous about rejection. Instead of making calls, she spends hours adjusting small design details on her website. She tells herself she is being productive, but the real progress never begins. Her fear quietly replaces action with comfortable delay. Perfectionism is another surprising way time disappears. Some people believe every task must be completed perfectly before it can be shared with others. While high standards are valuable, extreme perfectionism can stop progress completely. A writer named Kanran dreams of publishing articles online. He writes one article, then edits it again and again, searching for perfect sentences. He spends many days changing small details, but he never publishes the article. Another writer named Salman writes an article, then reviews it once and shares it with readers. He continues writing new articles each week. After several months, Salman has built a large collection of work, while Kanran still adjusts the first article. Progress grows through completion, not endless correction. Another major cause of wasted time is lack of clear goals. When people do not know what they truly want, they move through life without direction. Hours are spent reacting to daily events, rather than building a meaningful future. Think about a traveler who begins a journey without choosing a destination. The traveler may move from road to road, but the movement does not guarantee arrival. Without direction, time becomes motion without purpose. A student named Zane decides that he wants to become an engineer. Because of this clear goal, he begins focusing on mathematics, science, and problem solving. He searches for opportunities to practice and improve. Another student named Adil has no clear vision for his future. He studies only when exams appear and spends much of his time searching for entertainment. Years later, Zane moves confidently toward his profession, while Adil feels uncertain about his direction. Goals transform time into progress. Another hidden waste of time is negative thinking. Many people spend long periods worrying about past mistakes or imagining future problems. While reflection can sometimes be helpful, constant worry does not create solutions. It only drains mental energy. A young man named Tariq once failed an important exam. Instead of preparing for the next opportunity, he spends many hours thinking about the failure. He tells himself he is unlucky and incapable. Meanwhile, another student who faced the same failure begins studying again with determination. The difference between them is not the difficulty of the situation, but the use of time after the difficulty. Technology itself is not the enemy of productivity. In fact, technology can support learning, communication, and creativity. The problem appears when technology is used without control. Consider two individuals who both own smartphones. One uses the device to read educational articles, learn languages, and manage daily tasks. The other spends many hours watching endless entertainment without gaining knowledge. The same tool can either multiply time or destroy time, depending on how it is used. Another example of hidden time loss appears in disorganization. When people cannot find their notes, tools, or important information, they spend unnecessary minutes searching again and again. A student named Hina keeps her books, notes, and digital files organized. She knows where everything is located. When she begins studying, she can start immediately. Another student named Rita keeps her materials scattered in many places. Each time she studies, she spends 15 or 20 minutes searching for what she needs. Over several months, this small daily delay becomes many lost hours. Simple organization protects time. Energy management also influences time use. A person who sleeps too little, eats unhealthy food, and avoids physical movement often feels tired and unfocused because of low-energy tasks take longer to complete. For example, two workers receive the same assignment. One worker maintains healthy sleep, exercise, and balanced meals. The other worker sleeps very late and wakes up exhausted. The energetic worker completes the task in 3 hours with clear focus. The tired worker struggles for 6 hours with many breaks and distractions. The difference in time comes from the difference in energy. Learning to protect energy is another way to protect time. Another hidden waste of time is living only for immediate comfort. Many activities provide short-term pleasure, but create long-term loss. Watching endless entertainment, avoiding responsibility, and postponing effort may feel comfortable today, but they quietly steal tomorrow. Imagine two friends who finish school each afternoon. One friend spends 2 hours learning a new skill, such as programming language or public speaking. The other friend spends the same time playing games without limit. After several years, the first friend has developed valuable abilities that open career opportunities. The second friend wonders why success feels distant, even though the years passed quickly. The hours were equal, but the investment was different. Awareness is the beginning of change. When people start noticing how their time is used, they gain the ability to make better choices. A simple reflection at the end of the day can reveal powerful lessons. Ask yourself, how did I spend my hours today? Which action? This honest reflection does not require blame or guilt. It simply creates understanding. Once understanding appears, improvement becomes possible. Time is like a river it continues moving forward. Every moment carries opportunity, but the opportunity must be recognized and used. When people remove unnecessary distractions, reduce delay, create plans and act with purpose, they begin reclaiming the hours that once disappeared silently. The journey toward a more effective life continues with learning how to build strong daily habits that guide our actions automatically toward growth and success. Chapter 3. Building powerful daily habits. A person does not change life in one single day. Real change grows slowly through repeated actions. These repeated actions are called habits. Habits are the behaviors people perform regularly, often without thinking. They shape the direction of life because they decide how time, energy, and attention are used every day. When habits are weak or careless, life begins to feel disorganized and difficult. When habits are strong and purposeful, progress becomes natural and steady. This is why building powerful daily habits is one of the most important steps in learning to spend time more effectively. Many people believe success comes only from big decisions or sudden inspiration. In reality, success is usually the result of small, consistent actions repeated again and again. Each small action may appear unimportant in a single day, but over months and years, the effect becomes enormous. Imagine a student named Rahim decides that every morning he will read for 30 minutes before starting his daily activities. At first, 30 minutes does not seem like a major achievement. However, Rahim continues the habit every day. After 1 month, Rahim has read many chapters. After 6 months, he has read several books. After 2 years, his knowledge has expanded greatly. The small habit created a large transformation. Another student named Usman plans to read someday, but he never creates a daily habit. Sometimes he reads for a short time, and sometimes he does nothing. Because his effort is inconsistent, his knowledge grows slowly. The difference between Rahim and Usman is not talent or intelligence. The difference is the power of habit. Habits reduce the need for constant decision-making. When an action becomes a habit, the mind does not struggle to begin the task. The behavior simply becomes part of daily life. Consider the example of exercise. A person who decides randomly when to exercise often struggles with motivation. Some days the person feels energetic, but other days the person chooses rest instead. As a result, exercise happens rarely. Another person creates a habit of walking or training at the same time every morning. Because the activity is connected to a specific time, it becomes automatic. The person does not wait for motivation. The body and mind simply follow the routine. Over time, this habit improves strength, health, and mental clarity. Creating a new habit usually begins with a clear and simple decision. Instead of choosing a large, difficult goal, it is often better to start with a small action that can be repeated. For example, a young woman named Miriam wants to improve her writing ability. Instead of planning to write many pages every day, she begins with a simple habit. She writes 1 paragraph each morning. At first, the habit feels very small, but it is easy to maintain. After several weeks, writing becomes a natural part of her morning routine. Gradually, she begins writing longer pieces with greater confidence. The habit created momentum. Habits also grow stronger when they are connected to existing routines. A person can attach a new habit to something that already happens every day. For instance, a student named Fahad drinks tea every evening. After deciding to improve his learning, Fahad adds a new habit while drinking tea. He spends 20 minutes reviewing his study notes. Because the tea habit already exists, the study habit becomes easier to remember. This simple connection helps the new behavior become stable. Another example involves personal reflection. A professional worker named Nita wants to become more organized. Each night before sleeping, she spends 10 minutes reviewing the next day tasks. She writes the most important activities she must complete. This small nightly habit gives her mind clarity and direction. When she wakes up, she already knows what must be done. Habits influence identity over time. When a person repeatedly performs an action, the mind begins to see that action as part of personal character. A person who reads daily begins to see themselves as a reader. A person who exercises regularly begins to see themselves as a healthy and disciplined individual. A person who practices a skill every day begins to see themselves as a learner and creator. Identity strengthens habits because the mind prefers behaviors that match personal self-image. For example, a young man named Saad wants to learn programming. At first, he practices coding for a short time each evening. After several months, he begins thinking of himself as a programmer. Because this identity feels meaningful, he naturally continues practicing and improving. His daily habit supports his new identity, and his identity supports the habit. Another powerful habit involves protecting focused time. Many successful people create specific periods in the day where they remove distractions and concentrate deeply on important work. Imagine a university student named Amina. Amina chooses 2 hours every afternoon as her focused study time. During this period, she turns off notifications, closes unnecessary applications, and places her phone away from reach. Because this habit repeats every day, her mind learns that these 2 hours are reserved for serious learning. Her concentration becomes stronger, and her study sessions become more productive. Without the habit, she might study randomly, with many interruptions. Habits also influence emotional strength. When people maintain positive routines, they develop confidence in their ability to control their actions. For example, a young athlete named Haris trains every morning, even when the weather is cold or when motivation feels low. Each day he proves to himself that discipline is stronger than temporary feelings. This experience builds inner strength that supports success in other areas of life. Another example can be seen in financial habits. A worker named Yasser decides to save. The amount is not large, but the habit continues consistently. After several years, Yasser has built a meaningful financial reserve, while many others who earned similar income struggle with money management. Small repeated choices create long-term security. Habits can also influence relationships. A person who builds the habit of listening carefully, respecting others, and expressing gratitude will often build stronger connections with friends, family, and colleagues. Consider a manager named Samina, who begins each workday by greeting her team members with encouragement and appreciation. This small habit creates a positive environment where people feel valued and motivated. Over time, this atmosphere improves teamwork and productivity. However, not all habits are helpful. Some habits quietly steal time, energy, and attention. Without awareness, these negative routines can become deeply established. A person might develop the habit of checking messages, constantly interrupting focus again and again. Another person might develop the habit of delaying difficult tasks until the last moment. These habits appear small in daily life, but their long-term effect can be serious. Changing a negative habit requires patience and persistence. The first step is recognizing the behavior clearly. Once the pattern becomes visible, it becomes possible to replace it with a better action. For instance, a student named Rayhan realizes that he checks his phone every few minutes while studying. This habit breaks his concentration and slows his progress. Instead of trying to remove the habit completely in one day, he creates a new rule. During study sessions, his phone remains in another room. For short breaks, he allows himself a few minutes to check messages. Gradually, his focus improves, and the old habit loses its power. Another example involves late sleeping. A young professional named Kiran often stays awake very late, watching entertainment. As a result, she wakes up tired. She decides to build a new evening routine. Each night she turns off screens earlier, reads a few pages of a book, and prepares for sleep calmly. Within several weeks, her sleep improves, and her mornings become more productive. The new habit replaces the old one. Consistency is the secret strength of habits. When an action is repeated daily, the brain creates strong mental pathways. These pathways make the behavior easier and more automatic. However, if a habit is practiced only occasionally, it struggles to become permanent. Imagine learning a musical instrument. A student who practices for a short time every day develops skills steadily. Another student who practices only once a week finds progress slow and difficult. Daily repetition builds mastery. Celebrating small progress also supports habit building. When people notice and appreciate their consistency, they feel motivated to continue the behavior. A student who completes a week of focused study sessions can acknowledge the effort and feel proud of the discipline developed. This positive feeling strengthens the desire to continue. Over time, the habit becomes part of the person's lifestyle. Environment also plays a powerful role in habit formation. The surroundings of a person can either support good habits or encourage distraction. For example, a writer who keeps books, notebooks, and a quiet workspace nearby will find it easier to write regularly. A person whose environment is full of noise, clutter, and constant interruption will struggle to maintain focus. Designing a supportive environment makes positive habits easier to practice. The journey of habit building requires patience because meaningful change rarely happens overnight. Some days may feel easy while other days may feel challenging. The key is continuing the habit even when motivation is low. Each repetition strengthens the foundation of discipline. As days become weeks and weeks become months, the habit transforms from effort into identity. The person no longer struggles to act productively. The behavior simply becomes a natural. When powerful habits guide daily actions, time begins to work as an ally instead of an enemy. Hours become opportunities for growth, learning, and meaningful achievement. With strong habits in place, the next step toward effective time use is learning how to plan each day with clear intention and direction. Chapter 4. Planning your day with purpose. Every successful life is built from successful days. When a person learns how to guide each day with intention, the future begins to change in a powerful way. Many people wake up each morning without direction. They react to whatever appears in front of them. Messages, tasks, interruptions, and distractions slowly fill the day. At night they feel tired, yet they wonder why so little progress was made. The hours were used, but the purpose was missing. This is why daily planning is one of the most important skills for spending time more effectively. Planning does not require complicated systems or long preparation. It simply means deciding in advance how your time will be used and which actions deserve the most attention. A planned day creates clarity and confidence. Imagine a student named Salman who wakes up without planning his activities. He opens his books, but he does not know which subject to begin first. He studies a little mathematics, then he switches to another subject, then he becomes distracted by his phone. Later, he remembers an assignment that must be completed quickly. His day becomes rushed and stressful because his tasks were never organized. Now imagine another student named Danish. Before sleeping, he spends a few minutes thinking about the next day. He writes the subjects he will study and the tasks he must complete. He also decides the approximate time for each activity. When Danish wakes up, he already knows what to do. His mind feels calm because the direction is clear. Each completed task gives him satisfaction and motivation. The difference between these two students is not intelligence or opportunity. The difference is planning. Planning a day begins with identifying the most important activities. Not every task has equal value. Some actions move life forward, while others only fill time. A wise person learns to focus on the tasks that create meaningful progress. For example, a young professional named Ariba works in a busy office. Every day she receives many small requests, messages, and meetings. If she responds to every interruption immediately, her entire day becomes scattered. Instead, she begins each morning by identifying 3 important goals she must complete before the day ends. These goals receive her strongest attention and focused effort. When the important work is finished, she can handle smaller tasks without stress. This simple strategy helps her maintain control over her time. Another important part of planning is estimating time realistically. Many people underestimate how long a task will require. As a result, they schedule too many activities in a single day and feel overwhelmed. A better approach is to create space between tasks. Allowing time for breaks, unexpected events, and mental rest makes the plan more flexible. Consider the example of a university student named Hamza, who plans to study for 5 hours without stopping. At first, the plan seems productive, but after a short period, his concentration becomes weak. Another student named Farah plans 3 focused study sessions separated by short breaks. During the breaks, she rests her mind, stretches her body, and drinks water. When she returns to study, her attention feels refreshed. Her total study time becomes more effective because the brain receives moments of recovery. Planning also helps people overcome the habit of delay. When a task has a specific time assigned, it becomes easier to begin. Without a clear time, the mind often pushes the work into the future. For instance, a young man named Timur wants to practice public speaking. He tells himself he will practice sometime during the week. However, the week becomes busy and the practice never happens. Later, he changes his approach. Every evening after dinner, he spends 20 minutes practicing speaking aloud. Because the time is fixed, the habit becomes part of his routine. Planning transforms intention into action. Another powerful element of daily planning is the first moments of the day influence the mindset that follows. If a person begins the morning with confusion and distraction, the rest of the day often continues in the same direction. Many successful individuals begin their morning with a short period of reflection. They review their goals, read something inspiring, or write the most important tasks for the day. Imagine a young entrepreneur named Hina. Each morning she spends 10 minutes reviewing her business priorities. She reminds herself why her work matters and which steps will move her project forward. This practice gives her motivation and clarity before the demands of the day appear. Another example involves physical movement. A student named Bilal begins each morning with a short walk. This habit wakes his mind and improves his focus. When he begins studying, his attention feels stronger than before. Small morning routines create powerful daily momentum. Planning also helps people protect their most valuable hours. Each person has periods of the day when energy and concentration are strongest. For some individuals, this happens early in the morning. For others, it may occur in the afternoon or evening. Understanding these natural rhythms allows a person to schedule important tasks during high energy. For example, a writer named Kamran notices that his creativity feels strongest in the morning. Instead of checking messages or browsing the internet, he dedicates those early hours to writing new ideas. Later in the day, he handles administrative tasks that require less creativity. By respecting his natural energy patterns, he produces better work in less time. Another example can be seen in a medical student named Sana. She realizes that late evening is her most focused study period. During this time, she reviews complex medical concepts and practices problem solving. In the morning, she attends classes and completes lighter tasks. Planning according to personal energy creates efficiency. A useful planning technique is visualizing the day before it begins. Imagine the sequence of activities from morning until night. Picture yourself completing each important task with focus and determination. This mental rehearsal prepares the mind for action and reduces uncertainty. For instance, a young athlete named Harun prepares mentally before each training day. He imagines the exercises he will perform and the effort he will give. When he arrives at the training ground, his body already feels ready for movement. The same method can guide productive daily work. Flexibility is another important part of planning. Life often presents unexpected events. A rigid schedule that cannot adapt may create frustration. Instead, a flexible plan allows adjustment while still protecting the main priorities. Consider a teacher named Nadia, who plans her day carefully. One afternoon, an urgent school meeting interrupts her schedule. Instead of feeling defeated, she reorganizes her remaining tasks and continues focusing on the most important work. Her plan acts as a guide rather than a prison. Evening reflection is also valuable. After completing the day, a person can review what was accomplished and what can be improved. This reflection does not require judgment or criticism. It simply builds awareness. A student named Usama spends 5 minutes each night reviewing his day. He notices which study sessions were productive. This small habit helps him improve his planning for the following day. Over time, his daily routine becomes more effective. Planning also strengthens self-discipline. When people follow a clear plan, they practice keeping promises made to themselves. Each completed task becomes evidence that personal commitment is reliable. This internal trust is powerful because it encourages greater ambition and responsibility. For example, a young woman named Manur plans to practice a new language for 30 minutes every afternoon. When she follows this plan consistently, she begins believing in her ability to achieve long-term goals. Confidence grows through repeated action. Another benefit of daily planning is reduced stress. Many people feel overwhelmed because their responsibilities exist only in their thoughts. Without structure, the mind continues to worry about unfinished tasks. Writing these tasks into a plan removes confusion. The mind no longer needs to remember everything because the schedule holds the information. Clarity replaces anxiety. A simple notebook or digital planner can become a powerful tool. A person can list tasks, identify priorities, and track progress over time. This record becomes evidence of growth and dedication. Planning does not remove all challenges, but it provides direction during difficulty. When distractions appear, the plan reminds the person of what truly matters. Every day becomes an opportunity to move one step closer to important goals. A life without planning often feels controlled by external forces. A life with planning becomes guided by purpose, intention, and personal responsibility. As this skill develops, time begins to feel more valuable and meaningful. With a clear plan in place, the next important step is learning how to focus deeply on the tasks that matter most and how to develop strong discipline during work. Chapter 5. Focus, discipline, and deep work. Time becomes truly valuable when attention is strong. Many people spend long hours working or studying, yet their minds move constantly from one distraction to another. Because of this, their effort produces very little progress. Learning how to focus deeply is one of the most powerful skills for using time effectively. Focus means directing the full power of the mind toward a single task for a meaningful period. When focus problems become easier to solve and work can be completed faster. Many successful individuals describe a state called deep work. Deep work is the condition where a person becomes fully absorbed in an activity. Distractions disappear, and the mind works with high intensity and clarity. During this state, even difficult tasks feel manageable. However, deep focus rarely happens by accident. It must be trained and protected through discipline. Imagine a university student named Adil. Adil decides to study while keeping his phone beside him. Every few minutes a message appears or a notification makes a sound. Each interruption breaks his concentration. When he returns to his book, he must spend time remembering where he stopped. 2 hours pass, yet he completes only a small portion of his study material. Now imagine another student named Mariam. Before starting her study session, she places her phone in another room. She closes unnecessary applications and sits at a quiet desk. She decides to focus on one subject for a full hour. During this hour, she gives complete attention to reading, understanding, and solving problems. Because her mind remains uninterrupted, she finishes a large portion of her work with strong understanding. The difference between Adil and Mariam is not intelligence. The difference is focus. Discipline is the strength that protects focus. Without discipline, the mind easily follows every distraction. Discipline means choosing the important task, even when easier entertainment is available. For example, a young man named Fahad wants to become a software developer. Each evening, he plans to practice programming. After returning home, he sometimes feels tired and tempted to watch entertainment instead. However, he reminds himself of his long-term goal and opens his laptop to practice coding for 1 hour. This decision requires discipline, but each day his skill improves. Another person with the same dream might choose entertainment every evening. The dream slowly fades because discipline was missing. Deep work also requires an environment that supports concentration. Noise, constant movement, and visual clutter can weaken attention. Creating a quiet, organized space can greatly improve focus. A writer named Camila prepares a small workspace in her home. The desk contains only her notebook computer and a few essential tools. The room remains calm and free from interruption. When she sits at this desk, her mind quickly enters a focused state because the environment signals that this place is meant for serious work. Another writer who works in front of a television with many distractions may struggle to maintain the same level of. The brain responds strongly to surroundings. Time blocks are another powerful technique for deep work. A time block is a specific period dedicated entirely to one activity. During this block, the person commits to focusing only on the chosen task. For example, a medical student named Saif creates 2 daily study blocks. Each block lasts 90 minutes. During these periods, he reads textbooks, reviews notes, and practices questions without interruption. After completing a block, he takes a short break to relax his mind and body. Then he begins the next block. Because his study time is protected, his learning becomes faster and deeper. Focus also improves when people clearly understand why their work matters. Purpose strengthens attention because the mind feels connected to a meaningful goal. Imagine a young teacher named Nadia who prepares lessons for her students. She knows that her effort will help many young minds understand new ideas. Because of this sense of purpose, she approaches her preparation. Her focus becomes strong because the work carries meaning beyond the task itself. Another teacher who sees lesson preparation only as a routine duty may struggle to maintain the same level of concentration. Purpose fuels discipline. Training focus also requires patience. The modern world offers constant stimulation messages. Videos, games, and news compete for attention. Many people become accustomed to short bursts of activity rather than long periods of thinking. At first, deep focus may feel difficult because the brain is used to frequent change. However, with regular practice, the ability to concentrate becomes stronger. Consider a student named Zain, who decides to train his focus. He begins with 30 minutes of uninterrupted study. Each week he increases the duration slightly. Soon he can concentrate for an entire hour without distraction. His brain adapts to the new habit. Another example involves an artist named Hadi, who practices painting. Every afternoon he dedicates 2 quiet hours to his art. During this time, he ignores all outside interruptions. Months later, his painting skill improves dramatically because his practice sessions contain deep concentration rather than scattered effort. Deep work often produces a sense of satisfaction that shallow activity cannot provide. When a person completes meaningful work with full attention, the mind experiences pride and fulfillment. This feeling encourages continued discipline. Multitasking is one of the greatest enemies of focus. Many people believe they are productive when they handle several tasks at the same time. In reality, the brain struggles to divide attention effectively. Switching rapidly between activities reduces efficiency and increases mistakes. For example, a student named Rita attempts to study while answering messages and listening to random videos. Her mind jumps constantly between different sources of information. As a result, she remembers very little of what she reads. Another student named Amina studies one chapter at a time with full attention. When the chapter is finished, she rests briefly before starting another task. Her memory becomes stronger because the brain received clear, uninterrupted information. Focus also benefits from physical well-being. Adequate sleep, healthy food, and regular movement support brain performance. A tired body often produces a distracted mind. A young athlete named Haris understands this connection. He maintains good sleep and nutrition habits because he knows his training requires mental sharpness as well as physical strength. Similarly, students and professionals who care for their health often notice better concentration during work. Another helpful practice is writing tasks before beginning work. When tasks remain only in memory, the mind may worry about forgetting them. Writing them down clears mental space and allows attention to remain on the current activity. A business owner named Adil writes his daily responsibilities in a notebook. When he begins a task, he can focus calmly because he knows other duties are safely recorded. The mind becomes less anxious and more present. Short breaks also protect long-term focus. After intense concentration, the brain benefits from a few minutes of rest. Standing, stretching, breathing, fresh air, or drinking water can refresh mental energy. However, breaks should remain intentional and brief. Long, unplanned breaks may lead back into distraction. A disciplined rhythm of focus and rest creates balance. Another powerful method for strengthening focus is removing temptation before work begins. If distracting objects are easily available, the mind will constantly feel the urge. For example, a student who places the phone far away from the desk reduces the chance of interruption. A writer who disconnects from the internet during writing sessions protects creative thinking. These small choices support discipline. Over time, deep focus becomes a valuable professional skill. In many fields, people who can concentrate on complex tasks produce higher quality work in less time. Engineers, researchers, designers, teachers, doctors, and entrepreneurs all benefit from the ability to work deeply. This ability becomes even more valuable in a world filled with constant distraction. Consider the story of a young engineer named Salman. When he first began his career, he struggled with interruptions, emails, and meetings that consumed his day. Later, he started scheduling 2 daily periods for uninterrupted problem solving. During these sessions, he designed solutions for technical challenges. Within a year, his productivity and reputation improved because he delivered high-quality work consistently. Deep work transformed his career. Focus and discipline are not talents that only a few people possess. They are skills that can be developed through awareness, practice, and commitment. Each time a person chooses to concentrate despite distraction, the mental muscle of discipline grows stronger. Over weeks, months, and years, this strength creates extraordinary results. When a person learns to focus deeply, time begins to stretch because more meaningful work can be completed within the same number of hours. Life becomes less chaotic and more intentional. With focus and discipline established, the next challenge many people face is overcoming procrastination, which silently steals valuable time and delays important progress. Chapter 6. Overcoming procrastination. Procrastination is one of the greatest enemies of effective time use. Many people understand what they should do, yet they delay action again and again. Important tasks remain unfinished while easier activities fill the day. This habit slowly steals opportunities and creates stress. Procrastination does not mean a person is lazy. In many situations, people delay work because they feel overwhelmed, uncertain, or afraid of difficulty. The mind chooses comfort instead of effort because comfort feels easier in the moment. However, the comfort created by procrastination is temporary. The unfinished task remains in the background, creating pressure and worry. As time passes, the task becomes more urgent and the stress becomes stronger. Understanding procrastination is the first step toward defeating it. When people recognize the reasons behind their delay, they can begin replacing hesitation with action. Imagine a student named Hassan. Hassan receives an assignment that must be completed within 1 week. At first, he believes he has plenty of time. Instead of beginning immediately, he watches entertainment talks with friends and tells himself he will start tomorrow. Each day, he repeats the same promise: tomorrow becomes the next tomorrow, until only one night remains before the deadline. Hassan now feels anxious and rushed. He works late with little focus, and the quality of his work becomes weak. Another student named Samir receives the same assignment. Instead of delaying, he spends 1 hour working on the task during the first day. The work feels manageable because he started early. During the following days, he adds small improvements. By the time the deadline arrives, Samir feels calm and confident. His work shows clear thinking and careful effort. Both students had equal time. The difference was action. One major cause of procrastination is the feeling that a task is too large. When a responsibility appears complicated, the mind becomes uncertain about where to begin. Because the starting point feels unclear, the person delays the entire project. A helpful solution is breaking the task into smaller parts. Each small step becomes easier to begin. For example, a young writer named Hiba dreams of writing a book. At first, the idea feels overwhelming. Writing an entire book seems like an enormous challenge. Instead of thinking about the full project, she decides to write 1 page each day. The small goal feels possible. After several weeks, she has written many pages. After several months, a complete manuscript begins to appear. The large dream became achievable through small actions. Another reason people procrastinate is fear of making mistakes. Some individuals believe their work must be perfect before it can be shared. Because they worry about criticism or failure, they avoid starting the task at all. Consider the example of a young designer named Bilal. He wants to create digital artwork, but he fears that his designs may not look impressive. Instead of practicing, he spends hours observing the work of other artists. Meanwhile, another designer named Ryan begins creating simple designs every day. Some designs succeed and some require improvement, yet each attempt increases his skill. Months later, Ryan becomes confident in his abilities because he accepted the learning process. Progress grows through imperfect action. Procrastination also appears when people rely only on motivation. Motivation is a powerful feeling, but it does not remain constant. Some days energy feels strong and enthusiasm is high. On other days, the mind feels tired or distracted. A person who waits for motivation before starting work will often experience delay. Discipline is more reliable than motivation. Discipline means acting according to... For example, a medical student named Sana plans to review her lessons each evening. Some days she feels excited to study. Other days she feels exhausted after classes. Instead of waiting for perfect energy, she begins studying at the scheduled time, even when motivation feels low. After a few minutes, her concentration often improves and the work becomes easier. The habit of starting despite low motivation protects her progress. Another strategy for defeating procrastination is the 2-minute rule. This simple idea suggests beginning a task with a very small action that takes only a short time. Starting is usually the hardest part. Once the mind enters the activity, momentum begins to grow. Imagine a student named Tamur who feels reluctant to begin studying mathematics. The subject seems difficult, and he feels tempted to postpone the work. Instead of planning a long study session, he tells himself he will solve only one problem. This small step removes the feeling of pressure. After solving the first problem, he often continues with another and another. The small beginning opens the door to deeper effort. Environment also influences procrastination. If distractions remain constantly available, the mind may choose them automatically. Removing these distractions makes it easier to begin meaningful tasks. For instance, a young entrepreneur named Nadia notices that she delays important work whenever social media notifications appear. She decides to turn off notifications during work hours and place her phone in another room. With fewer interruptions, she begins her tasks earlier and completes them more efficiently. The environment supports discipline. Setting clear deadlines can also reduce procrastination. A task without a specific time limit often remains unfinished because the mind believes there is always more time. Creating personal deadlines encourages action. A student named Farah decides to prepare for an upcoming exam. Instead of studying randomly, she schedules review sessions for each chapter and assigns a date for completion. The clear structure keeps her focused and prevents last-minute panic. Accountability is another powerful method for overcoming delay. When people share their goals with others, they feel a sense of responsibility to follow through. Consider a young man named Hamza, who wants to improve his physical fitness. He tells a close friend about his plan to exercise every morning. The friend asks about his progress regularly. Knowing that someone will ask about his effort encourages Hamza to continue his routine even on difficult days. Support from others strengthens commitment. Rewarding progress can also reduce procrastination. When people recognize their achievements, they feel motivated to continue working. For example, a student named Mariam allows herself a short relaxing activity after completing a focused study session. The small reward makes the effort feel satisfying. Gradually, her mind associates productive work with positive feelings. Another useful technique is visualizing the future result. Imagine how life will improve after completing the task. This vision can create motivation to begin. A young professional named Salman dreams of advancing in his career. He knows that learning new technical skills will open better opportunities. Whenever he feels tempted to delay his training, he reminds himself of the future benefits. This vision gives meaning to the effort required today. Sometimes procrastination appears because a person feels mentally exhausted. Continuous work without rest can drain energy and reduce motivation. In such situations, short periods of recovery can restore focus. Walking outside, breathing fresh air, stretching the body, or speaking with a supportive friend may refresh the mind. After rest, the person can return to the task with renewed strength. Another important step in overcoming procrastination is self-compassion. Many individuals criticize themselves harshly when they delay work. Excessive self-criticism can reduce confidence and increase avoidance. A healthier approach is acknowledging the delay while calmly returning to action. Every new moment offers another chance to begin. A student named Zoya once postponed several study sessions. She felt disappointed with herself. Instead of giving up, she decided to start again with a simple plan, one focused hour each evening. Her gentle determination helped rebuild discipline. Procrastination often loses its power when people develop strong daily routines. When tasks become part of regular habits, the mind stops negotiating whether to begin. For example, a writer named Kamran writes for 1 hour every morning. Because the activity happens at the same time each day, his brain accepts it as a natural routine. He does not debate whether he should write. He simply sits at his desk and begins. Routine removes the struggle of decision. Another example can be seen in a young athlete named Harun, who trains at the same hour each afternoon. At first, the routine required effort, but after several weeks, it became automatic. His progress accelerated because consistent practice replaced occasional motivation. Every individual faces moments of procrastination. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is not the absence of delay, but the ability to respond quickly. Successful individuals notice procrastination and take immediate steps to regain momentum. Time becomes more valuable when action replaces hesitation. Each completed task builds confidence and reduces the weight of unfinished responsibilities. When people learn to overcome procrastination, they begin reclaiming many hours that once disappeared in hesitation and avoidance. With this challenge addressed, the next step toward effective time use is learning how to protect attention from distractions and how to say no to activities that steal valuable energy. The following chapter will explore the skill of rejecting unnecessary distractions in order to maintain focus and productivity. Chapter 7. The Power of Small Daily Progress. Many people believe success appears suddenly in one powerful moment. They imagine that a single great opportunity or a single dramatic effort will completely change their lives. In reality, most meaningful success grows slowly through small, consistent progress each day. Small actions repeated regularly create powerful long-term results. These actions may appear simple or even unimportant in the beginning, yet when they continue over months and years, they build knowledge, skill, confidence, and opportunity. Understanding the power of small daily progress helps people use time more effectively. Instead of waiting for large bursts of motivation, they focus on steady improvement. Imagine a student named Asan who wants to become excellent in mathematics. At first, the subject feels challenging. Instead of trying to master everything in one day, he decides to practice a few problems every evening. During the first week, his progress feels small. Yet he continues solving problems and reviewing concepts every day. His understanding grows slightly stronger. After several months, the difficult subject becomes familiar. His confidence increases because the daily effort slowly builds strong foundations. Another student named Bilal studies mathematics only when exams are close. He spends long, stressful nights trying to understand many topics at once. Because his learning happens rarely, he struggles to remember important ideas. The difference between these students is not intelligence, it is consistency. Small daily effort creates lasting knowledge. The same principle appears in physical fitness. Imagine a young man named Hamid who wishes to become healthier. Instead of planning extreme workouts, he begins by walking for 20 minutes every morning. At first, the improvement feels modest. However, he continues walking every day. After some weeks, his stamina increases and his body becomes stronger. Encouraged by progress, he adds light exercise to his routine. Months later, his health has improved greatly because of this small habit he maintained consistently. Another person might exercise intensely for a few days and then stop completely. Without regular practice, the body cannot build lasting strength. Consistency is more powerful than occasional intensity. Small daily progress also shapes creativity and skill development. Consider a young musician named Saad who practices his instrument for 30 minutes every afternoon. Each practice session improves his control and musical understanding. The improvement during one session may seem minor, yet after 1 year, he has practiced for many hours. His skill grows far beyond what he imagined when he first began. Another musician might wait for long periods before practicing. When practice finally happens, the fingers feel unfamiliar and progress becomes slow. Regular repetition trains both mind and body. Reading is another powerful example of daily progress. A student named Hira decides to read 20 pages each day. The habit requires less than 1 hour, but it happens consistently. After 1 month, she has read several hundred pages. After 1 year, she has completed many books covering different subjects. Her knowledge expands quietly through daily effort. Another student named Imran wants to read, but rarely creates time. Months pass with little learning because the habit was never established. The small daily action creates a huge difference over time. The power of small progress can also transform professional careers. Imagine a young engineer named Salman who spends 30 minutes each evening learning a new technical skill related to his field. During the first weeks, the learning feels slow. Yet he continues studying and practicing. After several months, he understands advanced tools and methods that improve his work performance. His colleagues begin to notice his growing expertise. Opportunities for promotion and new projects appear because his knowledge continues expanding. The small daily investment created a powerful professional advantage. Small progress also builds confidence. Every completed action becomes proof that improvement is possible. When people see their own growth, they feel motivated to continue. For example, a young writer named Ariba decides to write a short paragraph each morning. At first, she doubts her ability. Yet after several weeks, she reads her earlier writing and notices improvement. This realization encourages her to write more regularly. Her confidence grows because the evidence of progress is visible. Another writer who waits for perfect inspiration may never experience the same steady development. Daily action creates belief. Small progress is especially helpful when facing large goals. A huge project may appear frightening if viewed as one enormous task. Breaking the project into small steps makes the journey manageable. Consider a student named Farhan preparing for an important examination. Instead of trying to study every topic at once, he divides the material into small sections. Each day, he reviews one section carefully. The task becomes less stressful because the focus remains on one manageable step at a time. After many days, the complete syllabus has been covered through consistent effort. Another student who postpones preparation until the final weeks experiences intense pressure because the entire workload arrives at once. Small steps protect both learning and mental health. Patience plays an important role in daily progress. Many people give up too quickly because results are not immediately visible. However, meaningful growth often requires time. A gardener understands this principle clearly. When seeds are planted, the garden does not bloom the next morning. The plants require sunlight, water, and patience. Day after day, the gardener continues caring for the soil. Eventually, the plants grow and flowers appear. Personal growth follows the same pattern. Effort must continue, even when results seem invisible. Small daily progress also creates discipline. The habit of showing up every day teaches the mind that commitment matters more than temporary feelings. Imagine a young athlete named Hares, who trains regularly. Some days he feels strong and energetic. Other days he feels tired, yet he continues practicing because he understands that discipline produces long-term success. Over time, his dedication builds remarkable physical ability and mental resilience. Another athlete who trains only when motivation feels strong will struggle to reach the same level of excellence. Discipline turns small actions into powerful achievements. Technology and modern life often encourage impatience. Many people expect instant results, quick entertainment, and rapid success. When improvement requires time, they become frustrated. Learning to appreciate gradual progress is therefore a valuable mindset. A young entrepreneur named Nadia begins building a small online business. During the first months, she receives only a few customers. Instead of losing hope, she continues improving her product, communicating with clients, and learning new marketing skills. Each week, the business grows slightly. After a year, the small project becomes a stable source of income because she respected the power of steady effort. Another entrepreneur might abandon the idea too. Early beginning success should happen immediately. Persistence creates opportunity. Tracking progress can also strengthen motivation. When people record their actions, they can see how much effort has been invested. A student might keep a notebook recording study hours. A runner might track daily distance. A writer might count completed pages. These records show that improvement is happening even when it feels slow. For example, a young language learner named Zane practices vocabulary every day. He writes the number of new words learned in a journal. After several months, he reviews the journal and realizes he has mastered hundreds of words. The visible evidence encourages him to continue learning. Small progress is not only about productivity, it also improves emotional strength. When people maintain consistent effort, they feel proud of their discipline. This pride creates a positive cycle. The person feels motivated to continue the habit, and the habit continues producing improvement. Life rarely changes through one dramatic moment. Instead, it evolves through thousands of small decisions. Every page read, every exercise completed, every skill practiced, every thoughtful conversation adds a small piece to the future. These pieces slowly combine to form knowledge, ability, confidence, and achievement. When people respect the power of small daily progress, they stop waiting for perfect circumstances. They begin acting today with the resources they already have. Each small step becomes a building block for a stronger life. Time becomes an ally because every day contributes something valuable. With the understanding of consistent progress, the journey toward effective time use continues by exploring real-life stories of individuals who transformed their lives through disciplined time management and purposeful effort. Chapter 8. Creating a balanced and meaningful life. Using time effectively is not only about working harder or completing more tasks. True success also requires balance. A person who focuses only on work may achieve certain goals, but may also lose health, happiness, and meaningful relationships. A balanced life allows progress in many areas, including personal growth, family connection, health, learning, and contribution to society. Time is valuable because life is limited. Every day offers 24 hours, and how those hours are used shapes the quality of life. Some people spend most of their time rushing from one responsibility to another without considering whether their activities truly create happiness or purpose. Creating balance means giving attention to the different parts of life that support long-term well-being. Imagine a professional named Ali who works many hours every day. He believes that constant work will guarantee success. At first, his dedication seems impressive. His projects are completed quickly, and his income grows. However, after some time, Ali begins to feel exhausted. He rarely spends time with family. He neglects exercise, and he has little opportunity to relax. His mind becomes tired, and his health begins to weaken. Although he worked very hard, the absence of balance slowly reduced the quality of his life. Now imagine another professional named Salman, who also works with dedication, but organizes his time carefully. He completes his important tasks during focused work hours, but he also protects time for family, exercise, learning, and rest. Because his life contains variety, his energy remains strong, and his relationships grow deeper. His productivity stays high because his mind receives moments of recovery. Balance allows success to continue for many years. Health is one of the most important elements of a balanced life. Without physical and mental strength, it becomes difficult to pursue any goal. Time must therefore be invested in caring for the body. Regular movement, good sleep, and healthy food support energy and concentration. For example, a student named Hamza once spent long nights studying while ignoring sleep and exercise. At first, he believed that sacrificing health would improve his academic results. However, his memory became weaker, and he felt tired during classes. Later, he changed his routine. He began sleeping earlier and taking short walks each morning. His focus improved, and his study sessions became more effective. Protecting health actually increased his productivity. Relationships are another essential part of meaningful living. Human beings naturally seek connection, friendship, and understanding. Time spent with family and supportive friends strengthens emotional well-being. Consider a young woman named Ariba, who became very busy with her career. She often postponed visits with her parents and rarely met her friends. After some months, she noticed a feeling of loneliness, even though her professional life was progressing. She decided to schedule regular family dinners and weekend meetings with close friends. These moments of connection brought warmth and encouragement to her life. Balanced time use includes caring for relationships that bring joy and support. Personal growth is also important. A person who continues learning new ideas and skills remains mentally active and inspired. Reading, studying, practicing creativity, and exploring new knowledge can enrich daily life. Imagine a worker named Farhan, who spends a short time each evening reading books about leadership, communication, and personal development. This habit gradually improves his understanding of people and professional challenges. After several years, he becomes known as a thoughtful and capable leader because he invested time in learning. Another worker who spends all free time on entertainment may miss opportunities for growth. Rest and relaxation also belong in a balanced life. Continuous activity without rest eventually leads to exhaustion. Quiet moments allow the mind to recover and reflect. For example, a teacher named Nadia spends time in nature during the weekend. She enjoys walking in a park where the atmosphere feels calm and peaceful. These moments refresh her mind and prepare her for the responsibilities of the coming week. Rest is not a sign of laziness. It is a necessary part of long-term. A meaningful life also includes contributing to others. Helping people, sharing knowledge, or offering kindness can create a deep sense of purpose. Consider a university student named Hassan who volunteers to teach basic reading skills to children in his community. The time he spends helping others brings satisfaction and gratitude. He realizes that success is not measured only by personal achievement, but also by the positive impact created in the lives of others. Time invested in service enriches both the giver and the receiver. Balance also requires the ability to say no. Many people become overwhelmed because they accept every request and invitation. Their schedule becomes crowded with activities that may not align with their priorities. Learning to decline unnecessary commitments protects time for what truly matters. For example, a young entrepreneur named Bilal receives many invitations to social events and meetings. Some invitations are valuable, but others simply consume hours without meaningful benefit. Bilal carefully chooses which events support his goals and politely declines the rest. This decision allows him to maintain focus while still enjoying meaningful connections. Reflection is another practice that helps maintain balance. Taking time to review personal goals, values, and daily activities can reveal whether life remains aligned with what truly matters. A student named Miriam spends a few minutes each Sunday evening reflecting on the past week. She considers how much time was spent on study, health, family, and rest. If one area received too little attention, she adjusts her schedule for the coming week. This habit helps her maintain harmony between different responsibilities. Balance does not mean every day must look identical. Some periods of life may require extra focus on study, work, or personal challenges. During such times, other areas may temporarily receive less attention. However, over the long term, a healthy life includes attention to all important aspects. For instance, an athlete preparing for a major competition may dedicate many hours to training. Yet after the event, the athlete returns to a routine that includes family, education, and relaxation. Flexibility allows balance to adapt to changing circumstances. Gratitude is another powerful element of a meaningful life. Appreciating what already exists can increase happiness and reduce constant dissatisfaction. A young man named Zain begins writing 3 things he feels grateful for each night. Sometimes he appreciates a supportive friend, sometimes a successful study session, sometimes a peaceful moment during the day. This simple habit changes his perspective. He begins noticing positive experiences that previously passed unnoticed. Gratitude transforms ordinary moments into meaningful memories. Creating a balanced life requires awareness and intention. Without planning, it is easy for work or distraction to consume all available time. By consciously allocating hours to health, relationships, learning, rest, and contribution, a person builds a life that feels rich and fulfilling. Success becomes more than financial achievement. It becomes the experience of living with purpose, energy, connection, and growth. Time is the most precious resource because once a moment passes, it cannot return. Each decision about how to spend time shapes the direction of life. When people learn to manage time wisely, focus deeply, overcome procrastination, and maintain balance, they begin creating a future The journey of effective time use never truly ends. Each day offers another chance to apply these principles, learn from experience, and move closer to personal dreams. Every sunrise brings 24 new hours, waiting to be used with intention, discipline, and hope. A person who respects time eventually discovers that time itself becomes a powerful partner in building a meaningful and successful life. Conclusion. The journey of using time wisely. Time is the most valuable gift given to every human being. Every person, rich or poor, young or old, receives the same 24 hours each day. The difference between an ordinary life and an extraordinary life often comes from how those hours are used. Throughout this journey, we have explored many ideas about spending time more effectively. We have seen that success is not built through sudden miracles or short bursts of effort. Instead, it grows through awareness, discipline, focus, and consistent daily action. The first lesson is understanding the true value of time. When a person realizes that every hour is part of life itself, the attitude toward daily activities begins to change. Time is no longer something to waste or ignore. It becomes something to respect, protect, and use wisely. People who respect time begin to think carefully about their choices. They understand that each action either moves them closer to their dreams or takes them further away. Habits play a powerful role in shaping life. Small actions repeated daily slowly build character, knowledge, skill, and confidence. A few minutes of reading every day can lead to a library of knowledge. Regular exercise can lead to strong health. Daily practice of a skill can lead to mastery. These habits may seem simple, yet their long-term impact is extraordinary. Planning the day gives direction to these habits. When people decide in advance how their time will be used, they remove confusion and hesitation. A clear plan helps the mind focus on meaningful tasks instead of wandering between distractions. Planning also brings calmness because responsibilities are organized rather than scattered in memory. Focus and discipline protect the value of time. In a world filled with constant distraction, the ability to concentrate deeply has become a rare and powerful skill. When a person gives full attention to a task, work becomes faster, learning becomes deeper, and results become stronger. Deep focus allows ordinary hours to produce extraordinary achievements. Another important challenge is procrastination. Many people delay important work because they feel fear, uncertainty, or temporary discomfort. Yet delaying action often increases stress and makes the task. The solution is simple but powerful. Begin with small steps. Break large tasks into manageable parts and start immediately. Even a small beginning creates momentum that leads to progress. Consistency transforms small efforts into large results. Daily progress is one of the most inspiring principles of personal growth. Each day may bring only a small improvement, but when these improvements continue over months and years, the change becomes remarkable. A few pages read each day become many books. A few exercises each morning become strong health. A few moments of learning each evening become deep expertise. Success often appears slow while it is happening, but later it becomes clear that every small step mattered. Balance is also essential. A life focused only on work or productivity may eventually lose happiness and health. True success includes caring for the body, building meaningful relationships, continuing personal learning, and contributing to others. Time spent with family, friends, and community brings emotional strength and purpose. Rest, reflection, and gratitude also deserve attention. Quiet moments allow the mind to recover and appreciate the experiences of life. These moments remind us that life is not only about achievement. The journey of effective time management does not require perfection. Everyone experiences moments of distraction, delay, or difficulty. What matters most is the willingness to learn from these moments and begin again with renewed determination. Each new day offers another opportunity to improve. Imagine life as a long road. Every day represents one step along that road. Some steps may be small, some may be difficult, but each step moves the traveler forward. People who walk with purpose, discipline, and patience eventually reach destinations that once seemed far away. Time is always moving forward. Whether a person uses it wisely or wastes it, the hours continue to pass. The choice of how to spend them belongs to each individual. Those who choose growth, learning, focus, and balance slowly build a life filled with achievement, satisfaction, and inner peace. Remember that great success is not created in one moment. It is created in thousands of small moments where a person decides to act with intention rather than hesitation. A page read today. A skill practiced today. A goal planned today. A healthy decision made today. Each of these moments becomes a brick in the foundation of a better future. If a person begins respecting time today, a transformation will begin immediately. The results may not appear instantly, but with patience and consistency, the future will reflect the effort invested. Time rewards those who use it with purpose. Therefore, live each day with awareness, work with focus, learn with curiosity, rest with gratitude, and build habits that guide life toward growth and meaning.
Kindly subscribe to my channel.